Maybe another example just to throw out there would be a cashier in a store. So that if let's say the cashier was trying to be really ordered in how they were going through putting things in a certain order and putting things into the bag. Let's say it's a grocery store. And so they're putting things into the bag as well for you. Well, okay, that would be, you could see them being able to live order in some way. But even then, you'd expect that could become rote very easily. So there has to be some way that this is a unique opportunity for them. And I think that probably the number one way would be to really connect to the people, because the people are unique. And so I think for all of us, it's our interactions with actually living people that does give something unique to every moment, so that you can have a unique attentiveness, thoughtfulness, consideration, appreciation, interest, engagement, generosity. It's just like the list goes on and on. So you can develop ways of treating the people that you're dealing as being unique.
Yeah. Okay.
But even if the work didn't involve other people, I think there's still a way that it's a little more like tying the shoes, and it would be a more, let's say, heroic form of practice that, I don't know, maybe you just have to stamp forms and there's no people. It's just you have to read something and stamp it, put it in the next pile, read, stamp, next pile. I think it would take some kind of deeper greatness of spirit. But for instance, what if one was aiming to develop a skill of inner silence? And they just very mindfully took up the form, and then they did that, and they just were aiming to maintain a sense of peace on the inside, of like there's just this inner tranquility that they're going to keep. They're going to stay mindful of their heart and the movements of what their heart is doing. And they're going to, like, when thoughts come up, they're going to let go and re-anchor themselves. They could turn it into at least mindfulness. So I think mindfulness, is a skill, not an ideal, but perhaps there are other ways they could even learn to bring higher ideals of love into it. Is there someone they're serving by doing it? Is there someone they could imitate? Someone that they admire, that they could try to imitate by doing it well? There's a lot of ways that you can find to bring ideals into it. But the key would be for the person to see this as a unique opportunity rather than same old, same old. I think the word unique puts predictions on hold. You give yourself permission to have no predictions for a task. And so it's really powerful at times to think of your next dinner with family. How could that be a unique opportunity, right? And then you could ask more examples like, well, could I surprise them with some quality? That also gives you permission then to do something different than the way you normally do it.
Okay, Kevin, can you help me understand a little bit the balance that a person should have in their lives between, one is what I think, maybe I could characterize what you're saying this way, is like challenging yourself in how you do something, to do it in a new and better way, to bring an ideal into it, but you're still doing the same thing, versus challenging yourself by taking on, new challenges. So, I can think of someone, writing over the course of their school career. Maybe they start in third grade writing something very simple, like a 1-paragraph short story. And then if they were still writing that, in high school and then in college, it was still, okay, write a 1-paragraph short story. And they were just challenging themselves in how they did it and putting a high, striving for a higher ideal. They might feel like, okay, this is getting rote, or they're plateauing, but often they'll take on more, a longer short story, or now poetry or an essay, or, so I think you can challenge yourself by trying to do new things versus trying to do the same things in new ways. So how should we think about those two dimensions? How do they relate?
Well, I think that creativity, flexibility, vision, these are all the ability to have a deeper vision, the ability to model yourself after people who are better at something than you are. There are always avenues of growth that we will embark on when we try to grow in how we do something. There's always going to be some way that it develops and deepens, so that there's a kind of expertise. I think expertise is a great word. And people, you can develop expertise. I think the highest kind of expertise, or you could say mastery, is self-mastery. And ideals are the example of that. And so, and the bonds we have in our life, well, that's what gives meaning to self-mastery. But even then, you develop self-mastery by exercising lesser forms of mastery that are skills. So you, in fact, wouldn't be able to be creative in how you go about writing if you didn't do some kind of developing of other skills in writing, to write short stories, as you were saying, to write précis of other pieces, to be writing reviews, to be writing whatever it is. You would probably be wanting to develop your skills in new ways, and that's going to require some kind of doing different kinds of things. If you're, I don't know if I could think of a job. I mean, maybe there are some jobs that are so defined that you, like the person, like say a cashier, where in fact there's not much new that they can do. And maybe they can only improve how they do things so much, and then they have to go to why they're doing it. So it's like the what you do is the lower hanging fruit. The how is what shapes that more and more. But really that has to come from the why. Okay, what's the ultimate reason why you're doing it? And in some ways that reflects skills, ideals, bonds, that kind of what, how, why.